Have Mr. RC Bhargava online, Chairman Maruti Suzuki. Mr. Bhargava, thanks so much for joining us. As production comes to a halt across the country, we're trying to understand and gauge from you the kind of impact this is going to have on business over the next couple of quarters.
No, this shutdown is only till the 31st of March, as far as I can see.
Yeah.
And I think under the circumstances in which we were placed because of this virus, there was no other way of effectively dealing with the spread of the virus than have a shutdown everywhere. No, to break the chain of the virus, this was essential. And the alternative was that if you didn't do this and the virus spread, the breakdown in the production systems would be much, much worse. So I think shutting down for 8 to 9 days is
right. Mr. Bhargava,
the better thing.
Just give me one moment. I want to have this conversation in detail with you. I just need to address, since we're live on air right now, the fact that Sensex has just touched lower circuit. We were anticipating that even before we kick-started today, and it is just in a matter of about half an hour or so that we've hit that lower circuit. It's rebounded just a touch now as we speak. So we'll continue to get your perspective on that. Okay, sorry, Mr. Bhargava, I interrupted you. If you could continue, please.
Saying that this is the what should I say, the least of the least harmful alternatives which could have been done. And I think by locking down all these major cities and major districts with the virus, we should be able to break the chain and get back to something like normalcy in April.
Industry has already been reeling from, so many challenges. I mean, people are already saying this is going to push back their, push back any kind of revival for it. The timelines we're hearing are at least a couple of quarters just based on the current shutdown that we're seeing.
I don't think it's that bad.
Okay.
Because if you lose production for 7 days, let's say, and considering the fact that demand in any case in the economy was bad in the past and most companies were running under capacity. So if you don't have a production going for 7, 8 days and then you resume production, you can work at higher levels of capacity utilization and meet up the pent-up demand of the last 7, 8 days, which is missed out. So I don't see how it's going to have too much of an overall adverse impact compared to what there was earlier.
A mathematical model, Mr. Bhargava, which one can refer to, that what could be the impact on auto economy? Because, all of us are puzzled trying to understand that how bad it could get, how worse it could get, what will happen to consumer, what will happen to behavior. We're just trying to perhaps identify something and find an answer for something we have never seen before.
See, I can look at it from the point of view of the car buyers. We have enough buyers at the moment who would have bought cars up till the 31st of March. But because production has stopped and the showrooms and others will shut down, they will not buy cars now. They will buy it in April. But in April, we can make up the shortfall of production by working on higher levels of capacity, employing more people. And we can have a higher production level as soon as we get back to the time when we can resume working normally.
What will happen to all the unsold inventory, sir? The BS4 transition has happened at a time when, the coronavirus and the BS4 transition. So how much of unsold inventory is something?
We don't have any unsold inventory because it would have been very, very tight and risky to keep inventories of BS4 for the last week of March. So we had worked hard to see that inventories were cut back and sales were made, and I don't think we have any problem on that side. But even if there is, I'm not sure if government will not take this into account and give a relief of a week, what we have lost this side, to extend this for a week that side. I'm sure the Supreme Court, if it said that, look, this shutdown has taken away the last week of sales, please relax this limit by the same amount of time. I don't think there would be too much of a resistance or reluctance on the part of the Supreme Court to look at this option.
But Mr. Bhargav, I'm trying to understand the sentiment here. And when things normalize, and we all are praying that things, should normalize, I'm sure, and I'm sure you're also confident that the medical breakthrough would be discovered. But in terms of a psyche of a car buyer, how will things change? When will things improve? When do you think the car buyer will come back? Because buying is also a function of sentiment and how good or bad do you feel?
You know, it is a little bit surprising, but so far in March, we have not had any reluctance of the car buyers to buy cars. We were expecting fairly good levels of retail sales in March. That, of course, will not happen because of this loss of the last 7-8 days. But otherwise, we didn't have a problem of retail sales so far.
Okay. So, Mr. Bhargav, do you think the problem is only perhaps limited to large cities right now in states where lockdown has happened, but tier 2 and tier 3 cities where you have your presence, it is not business as usual, but it is definitely not as scary as what we are thinking here?
You know, what I see, I mean, my knowledge is, of course, based on what I see on TV, but it seems like 75, 80 districts are having cases. We have over 600 districts in the country, and which means some 12-15% of the districts only are impacted by the virus. In the other districts, and which means the smaller towns you're referring to, there really is not an issue there.
So, Mr. Bhargav, if you have to compare the current mood and buying power and everything else with what we've seen in 2008, 2008, when it happened, it took 3 years, 2.5 years before the car demand and the auto sector demand came back. You don't think this time it is that scary?
No, the circumstances are different. The 2008 crash was a very different kind of situation. Here, it's a... Okay, again, you're at the lower circuit. So this, of course, is a different matter, but the problem that this time is a very different problem. And the normal problem of the recession which we were having in terms of low sales and things that, compared to last year, growth not happening, that is a different issue which will persist. And where we have been saying that there is a need to look at the whole cost of acquisition of cars by customers, because in India, taxation and other costs make it much, much more expensive for a customer to acquire a car than in any other country that I know of. And, you know, if your customer is paying 40, 50, 60% over the price of the car in terms of taxes and road taxes and insurance, then the demand for the cars has to be depressed.
I appreciate that.